I'm at the bank making money, making moves. Machines with tools and drills, making grooves. Missions impossible.
Welcome back to In the Green. This is Nora Lee, and today we've got Brad Wolff, January 2021's 100K winner. Brad, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Nora Lee?
I'm doing very well. Brad, where are you today?
So I'm calling in from Rochester, New York.
And how's everything in Rochester?
Nice and cold, very bitter cold morning.
Nice, bitter cold morning, but you're having a great week.
Yeah.
You're up
Almost
in a few
6%.
days. I know, that's fantastic. So before we get into how your strategy is working, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into the stock market, Brad.
So I've always had an interest in the stock market and finance, but I've never, really been willing to risk my own capital. And this is kind of ironic that I ended up getting picked for something like this because that's always been my stance. Like, yeah, I'll just sit back and watch,
right?
Instead of jumping in and playing. But more recently, I have started to invest on my own. But as far as my background goes, I did almost a little over 9 years in the Army.
Right.
Got out this last November,
Right.
for good. Spent the last year in the Guard up here in New York. So,
right. Were you ever overseas or?
I was, yeah. I was
Where were
over in Kuwait. Did 9 months there. Did some time in Jordan, and then I also, way back when Ebola was the main pandemic
Right.
we were worried about, I got to go to
Yes,
Africa
definitely.
and help in Liberia try and get their numbers down because they were one of the real hot
Extraordinary.
spots.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, we were building the what do we call them back then? The mobile containment units. So basically,
Right.
it was like a small pop-up hospital where they would bring all of their infected and they would get screened and treated. And unfortunately, the mortality rate was really high at the time. So, but yeah, it was a very interesting experience. Got to see a lot of the world. Basically, grew up in the Army, and then when I got out, decided to, spend some time with the family, not have too much going on work-wise. And then,
Was your family with you, or they were back in Rochester while you were stationed abroad?
yeah, for most of the time they were with me.
Great.
So I actually was stationed in Alaska for 3 years, and they were with me the
Right.
whole time, and we all loved that. Like, Alaska is
Right.
gorgeous.
Warren Taylor's one of our investors. He's out in Alaska, so you might want to connect
okay.
with him.
Yeah. I was in Anchorage. The
Right.
base there is Fort Richardson, so it's
Okay.
like right outside of Anchorage, but beautiful state. And then we were transferred to Texas,
Where in
where
Texas?
I spent the last Fort Hood, Texas. It's
Fort Hood.
kind of sandwiched in between Austin and San Antonio,
Yes, I'm from Laredo.
or actually right above both. But yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had another In the Green interview with another investor who's from Fort Hood, based in Fort Hood as well.
Yeah.
Richardson. So you might want to listen to that one. Quite interesting. He's big in crypto.
Okay. Was he a soldier, or was he there by choice?
His father was based there, and yeah, I think he's 26, so
Okay.
he's still there.
Oh wow, yeah.
He's a teacher,
I
I
loved
believe.
Texas. Really?
Yes.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love Texas.
Great. Well, that's nice
lot-
to hear.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd rather go back to Alaska if I had to choose between the two places that I was stationed. But when I was in Texas, I got deployed to Kuwait, and my wife was there in Texas by herself with 4 kids. Oh yeah. So we got the 4 kids.
Were you in Ahmadi, or where were you in Kuwait?
What's that?
Were you in Ahmadi or Kuwait City, or where were you?
So I was in Camp Buring, which is probably closest to Kuwait City. I know we took a few trips into Kuwait City.
Right.
But yeah, very hot. I remember it being so hot you didn't sweat. That's one of my.
Some people say it's a little bit like Texas, because where I'm from, it's very, very hot as well.
Oh yeah. I didn't feel like it was much like Texas, because Texas, at least you get those cool nights. I remember when I was in Kuwait, I would go outside and I'd be shivering, and I'd look at my phone and it's 92, and your body just gets so, adjusted to the 126-degree heat that 92 feels cold.
Right.
It was
No,
crazy.
I can imagine. So fascinating. So all those experiences you've had, and your kids have had this international experience as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And now the markets. Tell me, how did you find the Invstr app? And tell us a little bit about your strategy and sort of what your thoughts were being chosen as the 100K winner.
Oh, being chosen as the 100K winner, at first I'm like, this can't be real.
You think it's
So
a
I did a
joke,
little
right?
research. I did think it was a joke. When you messaged me on or in the DMs, I was like, is this person really associated with Invstr? So I checked it out. I think I pulled up your LinkedIn profile. I'm like,
Yes,
oh
I
yeah,
saw
she
you looked at
really
my
is.
LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. And then I think the first person I told beside my wife was my brother, and he's like, no, that's got to be a scam. And I'm like, no, check it out. So once I convinced them that you guys were legitimate, and I've been on the app for I think a good 18 months now.
And
Just
had you not seen the promo that we've had in the feed for the 100K winner and the challenge?
I didn't see that, but I have seen all the other challenges, and
Right.
they probably weren't in like the forefront of my consciousness because I I noticed that I was never very high. Like I think I got to maybe the top three, 200 or 300 on one of the cash prize challenges. So I'm
Right.
like, oh, never. These guys are getting 1,700%
Right.
return in a month. So I'm like, I can't compete with that. I'll just do my thing. I'm using it as a learning experience. So I'm
Right.
not trying to, the gamification is fun, but
Right.
I still like to test my theories and look into companies that I'm interested in
Of
more
course.
so than compete.
Well, that
So
and
yeah,
that's what it should be about, and that's one of the reasons we set up the 100K challenge, and at the end of the month, you should get a notification that you're in the 100K league, and then you compete, and we have an algorithm based off of your consistency of your
hmm
risk-adjusted returns. So it's not
yeah,
only what you're making, but how much risk did you take to make, say, 10% on that stock, and
right.
also your diversification and your frequency of trading among other factors. So that's how we select sort of the top bucket of people that we choose as the winner.
Yeah, that's what I realized once I was looking through the details about the contest, that it wasn't
Right.
just that percentage that you're pulling. It
Right.
was all the other factors that play into it.
Which is what matters
So
over the long haul when you're investing, over your life.
right, right, because big gains one month become huge
Big
losses the
losses the
next month.
next month.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and people like my style on Investr is a little different than my style, in real life. It's a little different than my style with cryptocurrency.
Right.
Like it it's a huge pool of money. You got $1 million to start with. You have to be selective. You can't, pick 50 different companies. You got to pick those few that you think are going to actually do something significant over the long term. And trading or trying to day trade it, at least in my experience, doesn't really work out very well. You'll miss
Right.
all the big moves chasing those little dips. And
Right. Now tell me about your selection process, because you got some interesting names in there. You've got, Tesla and Roku, and then you've got,
mhm.
1-800-Flowers, you've got Signet, Bed Bath and Beyond. Like it's an interesting portfolio of stocks, but what is your style for selecting that portfolio?
So once I realized that this is a real thing, and I was the lucky winner, I tried to figure out what's going to make me the most money, when the challenge is over.
Right.
And the criteria for all the stocks that I was looking at was, how have they done on a month by month basis? Not,
Right.
did they have big swings? Did they have a really good day one time last year? What has consistently moved upward and is still in that upward cycle. They're not in the middle of a reversal or
Right.
anything like
You're
that.
looking at
So
the trend.
I really am. I was looking for things like when I would go through, and it was basically me looking through the pool of stocks that I'd already put on my watch list in
Right.
Investr or put on my personal watch list. And I was looking for things that had, 10 to 20% growth over a month, and we're able to maintain that for a year. So they might have gone down or come back up along the way, but you look at the end of the year and they're all, for the most part, 100, 200, 300% growth in that year. And that could have just been a really good year for them, but they're still in that upward momentum.
Right. So you're betting. So basically the strategy is to find the ones that have a positive upward trend, and then taking the view that this trend is going to continue into the new year,
Right.
uncertainties out of the market, say with the new presidency underway, and just hoping that stimulus checks keep coming and
Yeah.
the vaccine
Yeah.
rolls out.
So retail might still be big with the, or the stimulus checks. I know, next month, in the first half, we have Valentine's Day. So
Exactly.
that's where the
1-800
Signet and
flowers.
the Bed Bath & Beyond and the 1-800 Flowers came into play. I think I got out of Signet because
Yes,
I
you
wanted
did.
to capture, what was it, like 10%.
You had a
And
nice
then I
return there.
got back in. Yeah. And I got back in because I'm like, this still has some room to move. Some of those plays are close to an all-time, or not an all-time. Actually, some of them are all-time high, but also close to their recent high as well. So if they, start bumping up against that, there could be a potential growth beyond their previous high.
There were some new stocks in there that I hadn't heard of before, like is it Crosshairs?
Or Corsair?
Corsair. I don't even know how to pronounce
Corsair.
it.
So they are probably more familiar to people who are like into PC gaming. They make RAM, they make storage storage solutions, and they're kind of on the premium side. So not really sure what the play was, other than that I think the chart looked attractive.
Right. No, but it's interesting. It's a good way for me to also discover new names.
Yeah.
That I'm not familiar with.
I'm kind of sad with the Editas or Editas, however you say that.
Right.
Kind of gave back that. I think I was up 15% on that one.
I know.
And gave it all back today. No,
but it, as you say, you got to think sort of over the long haul, and but so far, great start.
Yeah, and then the other thing is I didn't want to stay married to one sector. So like a lot of people, like in researching for this, I was talking to my brother, and he's kind of big in the cloud storage and cloud solution space, and that's where his pick was. I do have Snowflake. Yeah, that was his pick, and initially
I've got
I
it
didn't
in my
like
real life portfolio as well.
Well, I hope it does well for both of us.
So far, so good.
But I was looking at it, and if you look at the beginning of the month, it was it had just bounced like on the first.
Right.
And there's really no way to tell that early in if that's a reversal. So I'm like, it has room to go up, but it also has a lot of room to go down.
Right.
So I wasn't going to put it on initially. And then I saw it kind of sustained that reversal momentum. I'm like, okay. And that was one of my later picks. I think that was day 2 or day 3 of the challenge. Yes. So, I mean, there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
And you seem quite calm and measured, which is good.
Yeah, that probably carries over. So I do frequent the casino, and I've built that calm demeanor just from taking risky plays and letting it play out. You've probably noticed in my portfolio on Invstr that I don't log a lot of losses.
Right.
Like if you look through my feed, it's all 5, 10. I mean, there's a couple, single digit negatives where I'm like, I'm done waiting for this turnaround.
Right.
But I just set it and forget it and hope that it comes around.
The famous ad, set it and forget it. What is it? The Foreman grill? No,
yep.
The chicken.
But wait, there's more. It was the Ronco.
The chicken. You put
Ronco rotisserie. Yeah.
Yeah, the rotisserie chicken. Set it and forget it.
Yep.
But you got the mention today on Investor Crunch. You got the mention. I don't know if you listened to the daily news, Investor Crunch. You
really?
And today for your good returns on Blue Apron and on crypto, I think, in your fantasy finance portfolio.
Yes. Yeah, those were 2 good movers for me. I actually had Blue Apron on my watch list for this. Depending on what happens, they may get, shuffled in. Right now I'm struggling to find dead weight till cut, right? So like I'm like, I want to make room in the buying power or whatever to jump on something if it's moving. But I think I'm fully leveraged right now,
You're fully
and
invested, yes.
yeah, I think there might be one or two that I could cut loose, but they could turn around. They're not performing great right now, but they have the rest of the month to go.
Right.
So I'll probably just leave it. You might hear from me. I'll make some updates to the slide or the spreadsheet
Yes.
later in the week.
Well,
But
I know
today's been a slow
everybody's
day for me.
excited. It's a nice way to start off 2021, despite everything that's
Definitely
happening. We're all behind you, rooting for you, and
appreciate all the support.
no, and it's wonderful to see how you're very methodical, just like Thomas Quinlan was.
Yeah,
And
and he reached out to me and he gave me some suggestions and how to manage the spreadsheet and what makes this whole experience easiest is to provide the entry targets and exit targets just to kind of help you make
right,
those
and it
buys
clarifies
and sells.
the thinking around your positions as well, so you don't have knee-jerk
Yeah.
reactions, which is sort
Yep.
of what happened to Ola, our first winner back in November. He was up 4% and then ended up down 0.5%, and he said he regretted it because he was panicking a bit at the end.
Yeah, so far, knock on wood, no panic moments yet. Everything's been moving pretty smoothly.
Right.
The
And
only one I'm
remember,
sad
Brad,
about right now.
you can close out at any time. You don't
Yes.
have to, you could
Right,
close
that doesn't
out
count towards the
and walk away with money
number
now.
of trades.
But
Oh yeah.
just so you know, you don't have to be fully invested, and you can close out at any
Yes.
time. So you don't have to let it ride through till the end of January. So that's your call.
That's not my style.
I
I'll
didn't
let
think
ride.
I didn't think it was your style. Just one last question for you, Brad. So tell us, how did you hear about the Invstr app? I know you've been on there, over a year and a half now, but how did you first hear about it?
Yeah. So I went looking for something to kind of fill that need to test theories and play with the market without having to sign up with a broker. Like I'm not going to mention any names, but I've dealt with some brokerage apps where they want you to do a deposit before they even give you access to their paper trading.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I want to try this out. I'm not going to risk like I said, I don't like risking my own money without being able to guarantee that it's something that I want to work with. But yeah, I went looking and I'm like, fantasy finance, that's perfect. And the format's great. I really have no qualms with the app the way it is. The community is awesome. And I'm happy I joined, and I'm even happier now.
Well, I'm happy that that you're on Fantasy Finance, and I'm happy you're doing a great job with the 100K challenge as the winner for January. And we've got our new Invstr Plus products going to be rolling out here in the very, very near future, where you can trade commission free and bank with us. So
very exciting.
I'm
looking forward to trying that too. Yeah.
Okay, Brad. Well, thank you for speaking with us today, and good luck for the rest of the month.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Making moves, machines with tools and drills.
This is Nora Lee. I'm not a financial advisor. My comments should never be taken as financial advice. Remember, investments come with risk, so always do your research and analysis beforehand. Happy investing.
Money making moves, machines with tools and drills making